Yo, what's going on, my podcast family? Welcome back to another episode of The Infinite. I am your host, Rashad Young, and as always, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this, whether it's on YouTube or on the audio platforms. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode, man. It's been a lot on my mind, a lot on my heart, but before I get into that, I just want to say, man, thank you so much for you all who have said kind words on my new decision on going back to school to be a therapist, and just sending words of encouragement and things like, man, I've always saw that. And it's just kind of crazy when people see certain things in you, man, and maybe you don't see it yourself, or maybe it's just the alignment of the world finally coming together with actual action, which I'm so appreciative of. But yes, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for sending those kind words and encouragements. I am excited to go back into that space and looking forward to hopefully making a difference in the world, which I feel like I am here to do. But the actual conversation today is a little bit different than the actual podcast that is, what this podcast is about. But I feel like that it's important to discuss simply because there's just the truth that there's not a lot of male advocates in this space, at least from a social media perspective, that talk about women's rights. And I went back and forth of going back. I want to talk about this conversation, not because I don't believe in women's rights, but I struggle with the idea of being cliche and just talking about things that are going on in the world that isn't necessarily in the true nature of who I am. More like, I don't want to make a video about clickbait. Let's just go there. I didn't want it for views or necessarily for likes or just like, oh, thank you so much. But this was something I had to really sit and think with and fester with, because what is going on here, at least in America, is downright disgusting when it comes to women's rights, when it comes to women making the decision what is best for their bodies. It's something that I would be honest with you and say I wouldn't know how I would feel about it in a general perspective if I did not have a daughter, if I did not have a partner, if I didn't have sisters, and it just originally just off of pure ignorance, because what happens with us is people, unless it's actually affecting us, we tend not to think about it, right? That goes into the multitude of scales, from racial issues, sexual issues, religion issues, power structure dynamics. Like, there's an ignorance in the world that we protrude as people, where if it doesn't affect us personally, we don't give it our mind. We don't sit around and talk about it. We don't entertain it. But what is going on in America with, it seems like, and if anybody who's watching this, please correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like the overturning of Roe v Wade, that happened years ago, is going to affect women's rights all over. And actually, in the past couple of days, even states here like in Missouri and other places, they're starting to pretty much ban Plan Bs and birth controls and other contraceptives. And it's really disgusting to really think about, because at the end of the day, people have the right to do what's best for their bodies. This isn't about religious beliefs or anything like that, because at the end of the day, as we have been given free will, man itself has also destroyed the world and also has affected others. And so with something like this, I really thought about it, man, because it's really disgusting to know that people that aren't women are making decisions. So men making decisions for women, about carrying a child. And as men, we don't really have the right to discuss that, because none of us have menstrual cycles. None of us are carrying children for 9 months, even multiple times. We have multiple kids. And the last thing that we should do is determine what a woman should do with their body based off when it comes to conceiving a child. Point blank, period. It's that simple. End of discussion. Doesn't matter. We can sit here and we can argue about the religious views or the moral aspects, but at the end of the day, we were given a free choice that was given to us by God, the creator, wherever you believe in. And that is one of the ignorance of humanity and man itself, is that within our free power, we are still trying to pull away power from those who have the right to make their own decisions for their body. It is downright disgusting. I have never seen anything like it. And so when I thought about making this video, it was kind of twofold, because this is something I would feel like if you're a woman, you're very passionate about. And I've seen different things on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok about the silence of men, and naturally there's a defense to that, because I'm just a firm believer, just because you don't talk about it on social media doesn't mean that you care. or the fact of promoting a movement doesn't mean that you're going to have actual actionable things to assist with it. I'm one of those people. I'm really particular about that, just because a lot of people do that in our world today. There's a certain issue that's going on, so we will actively promote it on social media, but we will go back to our everyday lives and just go on with our day. We don't give it no much time. We don't put any action behind it. We don't have discussions. We just post it. I did my job. Go forward. I don't want to do something like that with this. I'm still trying to figure out. I've just been having conversations with Shelby, honestly, in the past couple of days about this, because I am aware of it, but I never really thought about the actual effect. And then even now with having a daughter, that's something that even takes it to another level. It's like, man, like something can happen, and it could be forceful. Let's just take it to that route. And you're telling me because of the state that they're in, or this could be a nationwide thing, that they cannot make a choice what's best for them in their life. Because I think there's a two-part piece when it comes to conceiving a child. Some things happen as moments during the moment. Some things are also happening forcefully, where the woman didn't even want to have sex in the first place, and then also somebody was ignorant enough to use something in their body and put it in a woman. Now they have to conceive a child, and then also potentially that guy did something forcefully, and he's not going to even take care of the child. That is disgusting to really think about. That is really disgusting to think about, that there's a law that is made that is really affecting women on an everyday basis. And I'm not into politics typically, simply because I think there's an ignorance in politics and a power structure of which politics has been played, at least in America itself, hasn't necessarily been on the favorable side of people of color and other ethnicities and religions, etc. But it is really interesting to know, if we're going statistically, let's call it a spade, that majority of people that are getting abortions, according to statistics, if I'm not mistaken, are white women. And the people that are making those decisions are white men. Kind of damning. Kind of like, these are the same people that are your daughters, your sisters, your mothers, wives, grandmothers. You're telling them, not just people of color and other ethnicities, that we don't think you should make a choice with your body. That is mind blowing to me. I don't really have the words to describe that feeling, because I'm not a woman, but as I've taken the time to really reflect, that has just really pissed me off, man. Because there's a truth in it. If this was flipped and it was something that was important to men, I'll even go a step further. And this, like I said, this has nothing to do with what I naturally talk about, but it's a reality. If they banned porn, as weird as that sounds, men would have an outrage, because most people who watch porn are men. And I know that's two different levels of extremes. I'm not trying to minimize that at all. But the laws that will be placed against women currently, if it was flipped for men, it would be World War VI. It would be the worst thing ever. And it shows the level of hypocrisy that happens in this world, and especially right now in America. I can't speak for other places. I don't live there. That is disgusting. That is downright disgusting, that there's laws in place for women not to make the ability to have a choice with their body. Again, I do not care about your religious affiliation with a decision like this. Some things are simple human nature decisions, and they will live with that from a moral spectrum when that time happens. I don't want to go this route. People talk about gun control all the time, and there's still mass shootings that happen in America every day. I don't see nothing changing about that. Most people who hold guns are white men itself. Mass shootings happen all the time. I don't see any abolishment about that. It's blowing my head. And that's the crazy part. It's a lot of other issues that are going on, and there's not a single law that is being changed. We have to call a spade, man. There's nothing you can do about that. I think of Brown versus the Board of Education. Yes, schools have changed immensely when it comes to diversity. However, if you read in the textbooks, they actually, you know what? Let's go back. Let's even go to critical race theory. Critical race theory is being pretty much abolished in schools to take away the fabric of the truth of history that's happened in different places, especially here. We don't want to talk about that because we rather talk about women making rights for their bodies, like making choices for their bodies, like that. There's an ignorance to that. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I truthfully do not understand. Critical race theory was a big thing for a while. It still is. But I could think of a lot of states that are trying to abolish it because they view it as racist. I've never understood how facts is racist. Sure, some things can be altered, but that's history. As my dad always used to tell me, history is somebody telling their own story for somebody else. So sure, we can go through that layer of, oh, we don't know what actually happened, or this could be skewed, but that's for anything. This is simple choice versus no choice. And people who are making that decision are not people who are actually women. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm losing my mind. And like I said, this isn't typically what I like to talk about on my platforms, but it is something I feel like needs to be addressed, and I also feel like I need to let it out. And this is my platform, so I'm gonna do that. It just doesn't make sense. It truthfully does not make sense to me. It is a pure ignorance I will never understand. But I will say though, if you are a guy and you do not agree with this, I think there's a truth that we do need to speak out on it more. I don't care how you do it. I don't care if it's a conversation. I don't care if it's in a message, something. Because there is also ignorance and silence. Because on the other side too, when there's issues that happen with us, we want somebody to hear our own stuff. And usually, we hear our own stuff and want to help us out. Usually women, typically, because most of us as guys, we're not going to talk our problems out. So usually a woman has to confide in you, or you have to confide with a woman about something. And they usually have your back and they nurture you and tell you that they love you. And if you have the right person, they're also encouraging as well. It's the same thing. Just have a conversation, ask questions. Let's not be so ignorant to something that is destroying anything, because God forbid if you ever have to go to a situation where you have maybe a little sister or a daughter and this situation pops up, you will be very vivid. Again, I know there's nuances and there's layers to these decisions that are occurring, but it's the fact that these things are placed into law to ban all these things, or to abolish them, or to remove them, or whatever is going on. It is downright disgusting, because now people want to be the moral police and we don't even control our own morality. But that's another conversation. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. That's my new saying now. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't get it. I don't. All right, I'm not gonna be long-winded. I appreciate you all so much. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Again, this isn't stuff that I frequently would like to talk about, but there's certain issues, man, that just need to be addressed. It's that simple. All right. Appreciate you all so much, man. As always, make sure to subscribe to The Infinite on YouTube or any of your favorite audio platforms. Share it to a friend. Like, share, subscribe, rate it, whatever you can do. But more importantly, speak up on issues that are really important to talk about. Till next time.